Hey everyone, Mike here today with part 2 of my video here on SnowRunner. So last week I talked about the game, gave you some of the basics, and gave you an idea of what this game is all about. And this week we're going to talk about the real life mod that I'm running on this game and why I think it's almost an essential mod if you want to play this game. Because, yeah, ultimately I think this game is really good. I played it on Game Pass for about 30 or so hours, and then I eventually decided to buy it on Steam because I wanted to get some of the DLC and season passes. And so because of that, I bought the game on Steam, I bought the first season pass, and that also gives me access to more mods. You know, you can kind of mod the game without having access to the game files. However, there are some pretty good mods out there that require access to the game files, such as the real life mod. So the base game, I think, is generally pretty good. You know, what you've been seeing me do so far is pretty much what the base game has to offer, which is, you know, some great off-roading and all sorts of missions and all sorts of fun stuff. The real life mod kicks things up a notch and tries and gives you a lot more realism in a sense. And so what it's actually changing isn't the way the physics works and traction and stuff like that. Instead, the real life mod just rebalances a lot of things in the game. So for instance, the power output. A lot of the vehicles are pretty close to the actual power output from their engines. A couple of them are a little bit weaker than they are in real life, and so those get rebalanced. The engine upgrades you can purchase, however, those are seeing much more significant increases in power output to, again, better reflect a higher rated engine in real life. Because, you know, you can have, you know, 4 versions of the same engine, and there are different power ratings you can buy it at. And the power difference between the weakest and the highest power output level is usually pretty significant. And so this game tended to keep all the different engines pretty close to each other, which it's not a huge problem, but it definitely made for, you know, upgrades that were maybe not as worthwhile as they should be. Similarly, I think they've also restricted some of the tire selection on certain vehicles to make them maybe not overpowered, right? Like ridiculously useful and usable in every scenario. Again, the real life mod looks at how some of these vehicles are used. For instance, a big logging truck. There's a Pacific P16, which is a Canadian logging truck that's in the game. You can't put winter tires on that thing for some reason. Right? You can't put snow chains on it in the game, which doesn't really make sense because these are Canadian logging trucks. Also, being a logging truck, the truck is strangely kind of weak for what it should be in real life, so that's one of the vehicles where even the base power output's being tweaked quite a bit. But yeah, the point is that by redoing a lot of that stuff, rebalancing all of that stuff, you know, that logging truck goes from, you know, being a really good early game truck you find for free in Michigan to something that you can continue using into Alaska using that mod. Now, the reason a lot of that stuff is important is because the other thing the mod changes, and this is where the majority of the tweaks come from, it's the weight values of the cargo. So while the vehicle weight levels are generally really accurate and only see a minor change, and the power outputs is generally good, but not always, cargo weights are kind of bad in this game. You know, the logs weigh maybe a third of what they should actually weigh in real life, and so the mod goes in and rearranges a lot of that stuff. So in a sense, it makes the game a little bit easier because of all the other upgrades and stuff you can do where the base game wouldn't necessarily let you. But on the flip side, it does keep a really strangely good balance. And so it's the kind of thing where, like, I think the base game was actually pretty good already. It's just the mod kind of kicks it up to that next level. I'm also having a bit of a hard time rescuing this truck that I flipped over earlier. Come on. Yeah, I don't have a lot of room to actually navigate, which makes it a little tough to pull it out. Cause I can't just drive forwards and flip it over. Let's see if I can swing it around a little bit. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And this should be enough to topple it back onto its feet. And it is. And so we'll change over to this thing. And then we'll rescue this truck there I was trying to go and get. Wherever it is. Oh, it's off to the right. Okay. There's a mission here for a vehicle that I have to rescue. So yeah, real life mod, I would say I highly recommend it. I like the balance that it's done. I like the fact that, you know, a highway transmission isn't just going from the standard 5-speed to 6-speed. Like, I get why the game did that, but realistically, most of these big trucks are more than 6-speed. A lot of them are 8, 10, 12 plus speeds, and so that's kind of what they did. There's a lot of things like that that get added in. And, yeah. Okay, great. This is another one of these where I gotta actually repair it, which is great. I have a service trailer. So we've repaired it. Ooh, I'm out of tires. Okay, I've actually fixed the required... Oh no, sorry, I did get all the wheels. Then I have to refuel it. Oh. Okay. I thought I was gonna have to recover it, but I guess not. This is an easier mission. Some of the other ones out there usually make you also bring the truck back somewhere. This one did not. I'm gonna actually push it to morning so you can see a little bit better of the time of day. So yeah, let's quickly pop into the garage and just show off a couple other bits. Let's take the starting pickup truck. Go ahead and deploy that. Actually, I'll show you the other vehicles. So we'll just quickly browse through. I'm in Russia, but these trucks are still available. It's just I gotta buy them somewhere else and keep them in my garage, and I can bring them over to Russia. So you can ignore that error, but yeah, it gives you an idea of all the vehicles in the game. There's a lot of licensed stuff, and some of the unlicensed stuff is very close to certain vehicles in real life. So that's really cool. A lot of the DLC ones are included in either the first or second season. So some of the locked ones here at the end are usually season 2 that I don't have. But yeah, the mod's great. You get to see the torque values for some of these engines. And so it gives you a better idea of what each engine does. Again, you can see in this case it is a 6-speed because, well, that's realistic. Suspension, that's not really changed. The tire selection's changed a lot though. There's a lot more tire options for a lot of these vehicles. And what's great is that they actually give you the actual grip values now. So I know what the difference is between a 1, 2, and 3. Because if you look at the tire performance lower down, well, there's not a difference between these two. There's a price difference. Or let's do the all-terrain. Right? There's a difference between these two. 3, then the mud rating goes down a little bit. But then the off-road rating doesn't change. So there's a lot of stuff like that that's a little... You know, you look at the numbers and you're like, well, where's the difference? Well, now having the mod, you can actually see exactly what the difference is. So that's really helpful. And yeah, of course there are more tire options as well. These are all tires that have already existed in the game. It's just generally giving you access to tires that, for whatever reason, are not normally accessible by this vehicle. So it's nice having those options. The winches as well are modified. They're a bit longer. Yeah, if you want to do off-roading, could put snorkels. You can also carry different sets of supplies, and then there's cosmetics too if you're into that. Chrome bumpers, different sets of lights and light bars, also different bumper covers if you want. And yeah, this truck doesn't have a lot of wheel options. And then there's all sorts of different paint jobs if you're into that too. But that's about it. That is SnowRunner. I think it's a phenomenal game. It's, at least for me, it's a very fun, relaxing game. I don't find it to be particularly difficult or challenging. You just got to be patient. And so, you know, once you get to kind of the point I'm at in the game, things tend to be a lot easier, right? I'm not struggling as much trying to do some of these things. I now have very capable vehicles to do a lot of these missions. So, yeah, I'm spending more time just kind of having fun at this point and going through the missions and trying to do them in an efficient manner, because I can totally string along some of these trucks if I wanted to be able to you know, I got a big delivery to do, can't carry it all in one truck. That's fine, I can bring a second truck along, kind of tie them up together in such a way that both of the trucks can make it to the same place at the same time. But anyways, that's SnowRunner. I think it's a phenomenal game, like I said before. And yeah, make sure you read the notes on the mod. If you decide not to play a new save file, so I'm on my old save file. There are a couple issues that you may run into. As long as you're aware about them, they're trivial to resolve. So it's not like game-breaking bugs. I mean, slightly, I guess. But once you know about the problems, it's actually a non-issue, really. But yeah, I'll end it here, and I'll see you guys next week with some other video. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Oh, it's only up there. It's not that bad. Anyways, catch you guys next week.